all of a sudden finding myself for the first time after, I think it's been 25 years, that I'm wearing these kind of garbs. I'm riding a horse again. I mean, I have a picture of me rearing on a horse in practice. We were doing rearing on a horse, and I have a picture of me and the mummy rearing on the horse. So it was very kind of familiar. Oh, I've done this before. I've been here. I remember this.
Nerd Reactor, roll out.
Okay, Oded. How's it going?
Hey, good. How you doing?
Good, good. So yeah, House of David. It's been out now, and it's a lot of drama, and you're the right hand man to King Saul. So, what was that like for you, getting to the role, seeing like just kind of like this, the character having depth of just trying to navigate this world and also taking care of himself.
Sorry, if the character taking care of himself and navigating the world. That's what you're asking. Yes,
Yes.
it's been interesting this season. As it progresses, it's kind of nice to have this guy who is just trying to hold it together. And but in the beginning of the season, Saul seems like he's come back to himself, and things are good, and we win the war, and we have a hero in David that everybody loves, and because of that, everybody loves Saul. Life seems incredibly good, and then of course, Saul just keeps you know uh, destroying everything, slowly eroding everything, and it's uh, it's great fun playing this character who's kind of trying to keep it together, and then starting to realize maybe this is going too far, starting to think about himself a little bit more. How can I, you know, how can I make sure that the kingdom continues in the right way, and so on, and as well as his own beliefs, because he started off not being of the Jewish faith and joined the Jewish faith, and very much believes in the seer and the seer's power and the seer's calling and so on. So it's very hard for him. He's very conflicted all the time between Saul and the friendship with Saul and what he's asked to do.
Yeah. And House of David, the story of David versus Goliath, very popular story about just the underdog triumphing over like a huge obstacle. And I was wondering for you in your career if you ever felt like that moment of feeling like the underdog, but then you're able to triumph over it, and you look back, it's like, yes, I did it.
Uh, you know, uh, I don't know. I feel always like I'm the underdog in the sense that I feel like a little bit that it's like I'm a fraud, right? Like I think we all have that thing of like, oh, I'm a fraud. What am I doing? I'm not, I can't act. I can't do this,
You're
but I
Odette.
think but on the other hand, I feel incredibly blessed, in my life, my career. I've really never stopped working. It's been now since 1998, I think. Um, so I'm very blessed, and so I can't really say that I feel like I'm the underdog. I just feel I'm very happy go lightly. I'm very happy and blessed with what I have, and um, um, yeah, I'm not winning wars. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. And like you mentioned before with Saul and just me listening to it, I'm like, because when I'm watching it, I'm like, I feel sorry for Saul, and I kind of want him to like just continue and succeed in a way, and everyone else is kind of like just like, what are you doing? You're crazy. So I think it's just the portrayal, the performances, the story, the dialogue that just makes me think that. And I guess for you, like, how do you feel in terms of that watching this or being on the set for that?
Uh, to a certain extent, I feel a little bit like, and it was interesting. The way kind of I feel the character looked at things a little bit. When I was trying to think of what the character's feeling and everything, um, it's like, God, you made Saul the king. You had him rule over this country. Part of the job of ruling is making the people feel, uh, celebratory, the fact that they get riches and they get power and they're chosen and all the rest of it. He followed that path. He did what the people asked for. He was, uh, revenging against their enemies and so on. And all of a sudden, God goes like, "Well, no, that's not what I meant. I actually didn't want you to do this, and this is what I want, and you're no longer, you should no longer be king." Which is what I think the character looks at it as. He kind of is so confused by it too, because then, and which is why he stays in support of Saul. But this season, when it seems that everything that we needed, everything we wanted, has happened, we won the war against all odds. We won the war, and we're able to rebuild the kingdom or unify the kingdom, and everything is in place. And then he just starts doing strange things and hate people and do, the whole relationship with the wife and all of it, his children. It's all eroding, and it's very difficult.
Oh yeah, very
So
difficult to watch. Yeah.
yeah.
And I think there is a character that's kind of like an underdog that you've played before that I want to talk about with the Mummy. And in terms of, because the Mummy is the villain, larger than life, and then you're like a human trying to figure things out, like how do we defeat this? So I guess like for you, like let's say when you're tackling that role, like what was that like in terms of like, oh man, this is something I like just someone trying to triumph over something larger.
Are you talking about? Sorry, you asking about the Mummy?
Yes, the
Or you were
Mummy.
asking
Yes,
about
the
this
Mummy.
character?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I guess it was similar in a certain way. In the Mummy, it was a very clear kind of character. He is to, protect the mummy so it doesn't get released again. And once it got released, give his life in order to try and stop it, and all of that. Um, it's funny that you mentioned the Mummy, because the Mummy's been so many years ago, still very much loved movie. Uh, but the funny thing is, like, all of a sudden finding myself for the first time after, I think it's been 25 years, that I'm wearing these kind of garbs. I'm riding a horse again. I mean, I have a picture of me rearing on a horse in practice. We were doing rearing on a horse, and I have a picture of me and the Mummy rearing on the horse. So it was very kind of familiar. Oh, I've done this before. I've been here. I remember this. Um, so that's actually been very lovely. There's a lot of kind of deja vu doing House of David and with the Mummy.
That's great. Yeah, the deja vu feeling. Yeah, but also you've played characters that are also larger than life in terms of like they're the top dogs now, like Star Trek Discovery, like an admiral, but also Deuce Bigelow. You're like the Gigolo. So these roles, like, because in act you're acting. So what was that like in?
I hope so. Yes, I hope so, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Hopefully, that's all acting. Yes. Yeah. No, Discovery has been such a blessing, and obviously my character of Admiral Vance is moving on to Starfleet Academy, which is going to air in 2026, the beginning of 2026. So that's been fabulous. That's been really amazing. I'm a big Trekkie as a kid. The hope of a world where we all live in peace and equality, and we travel to new worlds to find new planets, new civilizations. It was such an amazing kind of dream for me. And I think, I'm definitely a kind of a Trekkie nerd in that respect. And all of a sudden having the opportunity to be on Star Trek was amazing, amazing. There was one time I was doing ADR, voice recording for it, and the scene was right after the theme music, the opening theme music, and just to hear those sounds that kind of so famous Star Trek kind of sound and the ship disappearing, and then you hear my voice. It's like, oh my God, that was just one of the best moments of my life. So yeah.
I love that you can hear your voice and you'll be excited because some actors they don't like to see themselves on screen. They're like, I'll perform, but then I won't. But you're like excited, so that's cool.
You know, it's funny you say that. I haven't seen any House of David, just because of, you know, it takes me, I need a little time from the time I shoot it to the time I
Yeah,
see it, because otherwise I'm going to be sitting there going, oh, we shouldn't have cut there. We should have done this. Oh, I could have done. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
I've come to a place where I'm pretty good at seeing myself. I'm kind of pretty aware of what, when I'm in front of the camera, what it will end up looking like, just from 25 years of experience. But I still, you know, being able to have the journey of the dramatical journey of the story as everybody else, it's almost impossible, because, you know, I was there every day. I remember the locations. You know, that picture is still in my head, and it's very hard to separate myself from that. So in order for me to enjoy it dramatically, completely, freely, you know, I usually just watch it after a year or two.
there you go. Yeah, some time off. And last question I want to ask you is because you've been in all types of genres. You got the sci-fi, you got the uh, House of David, like a period piece, and then modern stories too. Is there like any particular settings that you really enjoy?
Well, I enjoy. I mean, you know, you get to a certain, first of all, you get to a certain age where you kind of go, I just want to work with nice people. And I've been incredibly lucky in my career to mostly work with absolutely lovely people. I've had a couple of bad instances, but most of the time, everybody's been completely and absolutely lovely. And on House of David, it's been particularly wonderful. Starting from the Johns, you know, Gon and Irwin, who are just the salt of the earth, and um, always seem to be incredibly positive. You know, even when the pressure's on, and even when everything is just kind of feels like, oh my God, we bit off more than we could chew. They're still always positive, always coming from a good place, and that has been an incredible experience. Then on top of that, I don't like the cold. I like hot. So Greece was amazing. I love horses. I love sword fighting. I'm not a crazy for guns. I'm not crazy for stuff like that. So for me, you know, House of David was just, you know, you can imagine it's just a lot of fun. We ride horses. We have, you know, sword fighting with the war, and we're in this incredible location of Greece. Then the Greek people are the nicest people on earth. It's been amazing, amazing, really an amazing, wonderful experience.
Oh yeah, I can only imagine. But I just want to say, Oded, it's been a pleasure chatting with you, and I can't wait for people to watch the rest of House of David and seeing more of the Saul versus David drama.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for the interview.